Dhamma Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladev Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jai Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astatara Sata Shishma Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We're continuing on Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll just share the verse for today. Is Canto 4, Chapter 13, Text 35. Hare Krishna. Oh, something very strange is happening with my computer. Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes, Mataji, we can hear you, but we can't see the screen.
Yes, something. Hold on, I'll see if I can try and recover that. Something very strange just happened. It was just all black and...
Or do you want me to share the screen instead?
Yeah, maybe that would be best because mine has gone strange somehow.
Just give me a minute, Mataji.
No problem. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let's see if I can, seems to be coming back. Let's see, something happened with my, okay, can we see the screen?
No, Mataji, just give me this, I'm going to share my screen now.
Can't see the verse?
No, we,
okay.
yeah, No, it just went off. I will share it now. Hang on 1 second.
Okay, thank you. Technology. It's great, but it also has its glitches, doesn't it? Okay, thank you very much, Madaji. So we're reading the 4th canto, chapter 13, verse 35. Iti vyavasita viprastasya ragya prajayate purudasham niravapan shipi vishtaya vishnave. Iti vyavasita viprastasya ragya prajataye purudasham niravapan shipi vishtaya vishnave. Iti vyavasita viprastasya ragya prajayate purudasham niravapan shipi vishtaya vishnave. Would anyone like to recite the verse?
Hare Krishna Mataji Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Iti Vyavasthita Vipras Tasya Rakna Prajayate Purodasham Niravapan Shipi Vishishta Vishnave. Sorry, Vishtaya Vishnave. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I'm also trying.
Hare Krishna.
Iti Vyabhushita Vipras Tasya Ragya Prajataye Purodasam Niravapan Shipi Vishtaya Vishnave.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Iti Vyabhushita Vipras Tasya Ragya Prajataye Purodasham Nirubapan Shipi Vishtaya Vishnave. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, I am trying Mataji as well.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Iti bevashita viprash tasya ragga prajataye purodasham niravapan shipi vishtaya vishnave. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Would anyone like to chant the synonyms and the translation, please?
Krishna, I'll try.
Thank you.
Translation by Prabhupada. Iti, thus, Vyavasthita, having decided, Vipraha, the Brahmanas, Tasya, his Rajana of the king, Prajayate, Prajataye, for the purpose of getting a son, Purodasanam, the paraphernalia of sacrifice, Nivapan, offered, Sipi Visataya, to the Lord who is situated in the sacrificial fire. Vishnave, to Lord Vishnu. Translation. Thus, for the sake of a son for King Anga, they decided to offer oblations to Lord Vishnu, who is situated in the heart of all living entities. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Would anyone like to read the purport?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. According to sacrificial rituals, animals are sometimes sacrificed in the yagna arena. Such animals are sacrificed not to kill them, but to give them new life. Such action was an experiment to observe whether the Vedic mantras were being properly pronounced. Sometimes small animals are killed in the medical laboratory to investigate the therapeutic effects. In a medical clinic, the animals are not revived, but in the yagna arena, when animals were sacrificed, they were again given life by the potency of the Vedic mantras. The word Sipi Vishtaya appears in this verse. Sipi means the flames of the sacrifice. In the sacrificial fire, if the oblation are offered into the flame, then Lord Vishnu is situated there in the form of the flames. Therefore, Lord Vishnu is known as Sipi Vishta. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Om Gyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are continuing. We're just getting into the beginning of this pastime where we are hearing from Maitreya Muni speaking to Vidura about the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. And he is beginning to explain about a very, very pious and wonderful king, King Anga. And as we've been hearing in the last couple of verses, the situation at the moment is that the priests of King Anga, they were performing a sacrifice, and there was confusion because the demigods weren't coming to accept their share of the sacrificial offerings. And this was very unusual because the king was pious, the mantras were executed properly, the priests were very qualified. So after consideration and consultation amongst each other, they came to the conclusion that because the king had performed some sinful activities in past lives, not in his present life, he wasn't blessed with a son. He didn't have a son. So it was decided that the sacrifice should continue with the objective of worshipping the Lord in order to get a son for King Anga. And as we know, familiar with these pastimes, that the king does indeed get a son, but his son was not at all a favorable son, and that led to further advancement in the king's life after much pain. But what we're hearing about today is the sacrifice itself. And as Prabhupada speaks about in the purport, he speaks about when animals are offered in the sacrificial fire. Now, we know that in this age of Kali, offerings of animals into the sacrificial fire is prohibited because there is no one qualified enough. There are no such qualified brahmanas that they can actually chant the mantras and give the animal a rejuvenated life. And that happened in front of everybody. The animal would be killed due to the potency of the mantras. That animal, the spirit soul of that animal would go into a new body. So this is something that we just cannot do. And therefore it's prohibited in this age of Kali. And Prabhupada makes a comparison between, he uses it as an example that in the medical laboratory, animals are killed, but they're not able to be brought back to life. So this is just animal slaughter. This is animal torture, actually. Poor animals, they go through so much in the name of medical experiments. It's a terrible thing, even just for like ladies' cosmetics or whatever. They're testing all these things on animals and to devastating effects. So this is horrendous, and this is not at all it's not at all comparable to when animals are properly offered in sacrifice and they have a rejuvenated body. But as I mentioned, as Prabhupada's very clear about through all of his books, this is not possible in the age of Kali. It's not. So it's not done at all. And even we hear in the Das Avatar Stotram about Lord Buddha, that Lord Buddha's appearance, he was so compassionate, and he came, one of his reasons was to stop the animal killing that was going on in names of Vedic sacrifice. So this is this is an important point. This can't be happening now. So, but yajna, sacrifice itself, is essential. It's essential for all living beings. And in Bhagavad Gita, in the 3rd chapter, we have this wonderful verse. This is verse 10 of the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Sahayagya prajashishtva puruvacha prajapati annena prasavishyadvam esha vostvishta kamaduk. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by this yagya," sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. So this is Krishna's system. This is something that's intrinsic in this material world. So the Lord sent forth all the creatures, all the generations of men and demigods, along with yagya. Yagya must be performed. And why? What's the purpose of performing sacrifice? The purpose of performing sacrifice is that we become closer to Krishna. We become purified. We have a purpose in life. We have something that is bringing us out of this material world. That is yagya, that sacrifice, is so essential for all living entities. And not only does it help us propel us out of this material world, as Krishna explains, it actually allows us to live happily within this material world as well. So this is an interesting point, because we hear so many times and we understand from Bhagavad Gita that this material world, it's temporary, it's a place of suffering, danger at every step. There's all of these things that we hear again and again about the material world. It's not a pleasant place. It's not a place that we want to stay. And yet, by the performance of yagya, if we arrange our life so that we are performing yagya, the proper yagya that we are meant to perform, then we can actually live happily in this world by the performance of yagya. The purpose of yagya is higher. It's much higher than just living happily in this world. When we're performing yagya in order to please Lord Vishnu, then we can feel happy in this world because we're connected with Krishna. It deepens our connection with Krishna, and therefore we're able to live happily because we're able to be satisfied, because our material desires are diminished, so many things. And not only that we're able to live happily in this world, we're able to advance towards the spiritual world. So in this purport to this verse 10 in the 3rd chapter, I've always loved this purport. Prabhupada makes such wonderful points. Prabhupada says here that the material creation by the Lord of creatures, by Vishnu, is a chance offered to the conditioned souls to come back home, back to Godhead. Again, I really like this emphasis that Prabhupada puts here, that this material world is actually a chance for us. It's not, we hear many things about the material world. It's a place of suffering. It's a place where we're stuck in this cycle of samsara, so therefore we're here. But Prabhupada also says it's a chance. Krishna's giving us a chance to come back home, back to Godhead. And how is the material world a chance? Prabhupada says here that all living entities within the material world are conditioned by material nature because of their forgetfulness of their relationship to Krishna. The Vedic principles are to help us understand this eternal relationship. So the Vedic principle of performing yagya is for this purpose, is so that we can get over our forgetfulness of Krishna. It's so that we can remember Krishna. We can develop our relationship with Krishna. That is what yagya is for. Yeah, Prabhupada goes on to say that the Lord created this material world to enable the conditioned souls to learn how to perform yagyas, sacrifices, for the satisfaction of Vishnu. If we look at the material world in this way, we can see it as an opportunity. It's a great opportunity. It's a great chance, as Prabhupada says. Okay, we're here due to so many reasons why we're here in this material world, engaged in this material body. But while we're here, we have a great opportunity now to learn how to perform yajna, to learn how to perform sacrifice to please Krishna. And then, as Prabhupada says here, so that while in the material world, they can live very comfortably without anxiety. And after finishing the present material body, they can enter into the kingdom of God. So this is the result of performing yajna. Sati saying good morning. Okay. So Prabhupada says in this purport that is the whole program for the conditioned soul. That's our entire program, that we're here in this material world. It is a chance. We have a great opportunity now to learn how to perform yajna for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada says that by the performance of yajna, the conditioned souls gradually become Krishna conscious and become godly in all respects. And as we know, what is the yajna for this age of Kali? This is Sankirtan yajna, the chanting of the holy names. Bye, sweetie. The chanting of the holy names. And that's what's recommended, and that's what's been introduced by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam Yagya Sankirtana Praye Yajantihi Sumedasa. That in this age of Kali, people with sufficient intelligence will worship the Lord, accompanied by all of his associates, by the performance of Sankirtan. This is the yajna for this age. And by the performance of this yajna, all of these things that Srila Prabhupada has described in this one small purport are there for us, are available for us. Not only will we be able to live without anxiety in this material world. Now, what does it mean to live without anxiety in the material world? Because we see in Shastra and we see in personal experience that it's not that it's not that a devotee will never experience any issues, will never experience any problems. That is unrealistic. Because the nature of the material world is such that it's there, But we can live without anxiety in this material world when we execute yajna, because we are able to understand it. We're able to have a proper perspective, and we're able to not become overwhelmed by issues when they do occur. We can't expect that they'll never occur, but by the performance of yajna, we have an opportunity to develop this deep sense of satisfaction in our connection with Krishna, so that regardless of the waves of the material world, we can stay satisfied. We can remain satisfied and free from anxiety. Prabhupada describes in Bhagavad Gita that anxiety is due to lack of a proper goal in life. So for a devotee, our goal in life is very clear. Our goal in life is Sri Krishna's lotus feet. So that's a very clear purpose in life. So therefore, when we're acting in accordance with that purpose that's always in our mind, we're striving for that, then there's no anxiety. Not that there'll never be any problems, but we can be free from anxiety because we can be assured that Krishna wants us to succeed. Krishna is Bhaktivatsala, he's our best friend, and he wants us to succeed. So if we go about our duties, performing yajna, developing our relationship with Krishna, acting in a way to serve other living entities and not commit offense, then we can be assured that Krishna, he wants us to succeed. Krishna's just waiting. He's not tough. So Sri Krishna Chaitanya, he is the personification of this Sankirtan Yajna. He comes to teach the living entities how to perform Sankirtan Yajna. And this is, we can really relish Lord Chaitanya's pastimes of Sankirtan. It's interesting that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after he took initiation and he began kirtan with his devotees, it was always behind closed doors. Srivas Thakur's home, just at devotees' homes, and only selected people were invited to attend Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's kirtans. It was an open kirtan straight away. So after some time, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving everyone the instructions to chant and dancing kirtan in their own home. So everyone's performing kirtan in their own home. And in this environment at that time in Navadvipa, it was illegal. So if we remember these pastimes from Chaitanya Charitamrita, we can gain a lot of strength in our own performance of Sankirtan. That the Lord, everyone was very inspired by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everyone wanted to see his kirtan. They wanted to see him dance, but it was all behind closed doors. And then we remember when the Qazi started really making trouble for the devotees, breaking the mridangas, threatening the devotees in their homes, the Qazi's men. So at that time, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw that the devotees were really being harassed, were really suffering, because they wanted to perform Sankirtan, that was the instruction by the Lord, but it was becoming very, very difficult, and everyone was feeling, it was difficult, devotees were scared, nobody knew what was really going to happen to them, but they had such faith in the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that they were continuing to perform kirtan in their homes. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is when he flung open the doors and he began public kirtan, this big kirtan down to the Qazi's home. You can sit down. And the devotees, everyone was so excited actually to finally see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dancing and chanting in kirtan. So it's described there were so many devotees, so many people. Everyone was gathering on the street. They all had their torches and they marched in Sankirtan, dancing and chanting, roaring tumultuous voices, so many mridangas, all the way to the Qazi's home. And as we read in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, the Qazi, he was scared. He was just overwhelmed. There was this roaring, huge, thousands and thousands upon people, kirtan, this home, and everyone was really fired up, enthusiastic, and also a bit angry at the Qazi that he had broken mridangas, he was threatening devotees. So when they arrived at the Qazi's complex, they all had their torches. It was just evening time by the time they got there, and some devotees started breaking down the outer walls and ruining the garden, and so the Qazi was shaking and he was hiding in his home. And then, as we remember in the past time, the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went and spoke to him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went and spoke to him, and after that conversation with the Lord, and after the experience that the Qazi had with Lord Nrsingadev, then the Qazi actually granted permission for kirtan in that area, and it remained like that. There was never again was the kirtan. Never again was the kirtan obstructed in Navadvip, even under the Muslim rule. So that was a really remarkable way that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began his public kirtan. And then after that, devotees were able to freely chant in the street. So we have such a wonderful legacy to follow, how to chant and dance everywhere, give the holy names. And as we all know, Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they describe books as the Brihat Mridanga, that this is the way to get the holy name to places just everywhere, every corner. And so this is our duty, this is our yajna. This is our yajna for this age of Kali, that we follow in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, chanting, dancing, distributing books, trying to spread the holy name. And by this performance of yajna, then we have this opportunity to actually live happily in this world, and at the end of the life, go back to Godhead. So it's actually, it's a very simple process. We just have to take it very deeply into our heart, that this is my duty, as Krishna explained in that verse from the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. When the living entities are sent forth, they're sent forth with what? Yajna. Here, perform yajna. And by that performance, then everything is there. Materially, spiritually, everything is there by performance of yajna. So as we heard in the purport today, the Lord is known as Shipi Vishta. He is present there in the flames of the sacrifice. So the flames of our sacrifice are the beating of the drums, are the clanging of the kartals, are the distributing of the books. This is our sacrifice. And the Lord is present there within that sacrifice. And by performance of sacrifice, we can please the Lord, we can develop our relationship with the Lord, and we can have an opportunity to go back home, back to Godhead. So this is the importance of yajna, sacrifice. So I'll end it there and ask if anyone would like to ask any questions. I think my daughter Sati would like to show something. Do you want to show now?
Yes.
Come on then.
I made a book.
Okay, you want to show it quickly, and then we'll see if there's any questions about Bhagavatam.
I did this. And I did this. And I did this.
Wow, so many pages. Sati's been practicing the writing. She's 6 years old.
And I did this.
Very good. Such a nice book. Thank you. Thank you. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Would anyone like to make any comments or ask a question, share some realizations? Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for the wonderful explanation and your realizations and the references of the various shlokas as well. Thank you for sharing that. So I just had a thought. You were mentioning that very nice point from Bhagavad Gita, where you said, by performance of yajna, first thing is all our material world, in spite of the problems, we are able to live without anxiety. And then at the end of our sojourn here or life here, we can go back to the Lord. So just wondering, because more or less, at least I can speak for myself, I am still in the stage where whatever meager devotional service I do, it's only for protection in this material. I mean, protection from the problems in the material world. Huh? So so I'm just wondering, like, how will that realization come that the goal is much bigger than just the solving of our immediate material problems? So I was just wondering, like, how that realization would come. So I just wanted to.
Okay, thank you. That's a nice question. The performance of devotional service itself is purifying, and simply by the consistent, sincere execution of devotional service, our hearts are becoming purified. So we may come to Krishna consciousness for many reasons, and in our kind of in the first stages of performing devotional service, we may perform devotional service a bit more for ourselves than in order to please Krishna. But by the performance of devotional service, if we sincerely apply ourselves to the performance of devotional service, those things in the heart become purified. And if we are aware, we hear of the goal, that the goal is actually, it's not to live comfortably in this material world. It's not just to become free from anxieties. That's a side point. It happens to devotees, but it happens because of our connection with Krishna. That's what allows us to be free from anxiety in this material world. So that realization that actually I'm performing devotional service to please Krishna, just to please Krishna, that will come in time with patience, with the execution of devotional service, with sincerity, and with associating with those devotees who are like that already, who are on that platform, then, and hearing from Prabhupada. When we combine all of those things, with patience, everything will come. It will all be there. Krishna will give us that realization when we're ready for it. I find it so inspiring to spend time with those devotees, to serve alongside those devotees who are serving really in that mood, that they're just really trying to please Krishna. And that gives so much inspiration that, yes, I want to aspire for this. I'm not there, I'm not there yet, but I want that. Look at what they're tasting. So we can get that through reading. We can get that through physical association with senior devotees. And that can really just inspire us to be patient and to be sincere, and then everything will come. I hope that answers your question a little bit.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much.
Hey, Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you for coming this morning, giving a wonderful discourse on this verse. I like the point where Srila Prabhupada mentions that even in the modern times, there's so many animals are being killed. There's so many mice, rats, doing so many experiments on rabbits, and it's very torturous. But that is not being highlighted. People who are critical of Vedas, they show animals were being sacrificed. But this verse really clarifies that they were being brought back to life by the Vedic mantras. So this is not happening in the current time. So many animal testing being done, and anybody who uses those products also get part of the karma of killing these animals. So this is the point sometimes we miss when people start criticizing Vedas for sacrificing animals. But then the industry also doing the same thing on a much, much greater scale, and they are not able to bring the poor animals back to life. So this is nice, right? A very nice point for highlighting this. Thank you, Madhuri.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Yes, it's a really strong point that Prabhupada, he uses the whole purport to discuss that point. Yes, it's really, that's a really essential point for us all to understand.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the class. Maybe if there's no other questions or comments, then we can bring the class to a close. And please tell Sati that thank you for sharing her book with us also.
Thank you.
We hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you, Mataji. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Vanchakalpatarubhyo
Vanchakalpatarubhya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namaha.
Namo Namaha.
Jai Krishna.
Koti Vaishnava ki jai.
Jai.